Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at using the ID-52 in picture mode. So there's a couple of things we need to do. One will be downloading the Icom app onto your phone. So there's an app available for Android and Apple devices. And here we're actually going to be using an Android device. I've already downloaded the app, but if you need to get it, if you go into Play Store and search on Icom ST-4001A, and you'll see this icon just here, that one. And so if you actually install that, and we'll look at using that in a short while, but that is the app that we will be using to select pictures from your gallery and transfer them over onto the radio. You could add them direct onto the SD card through the PC, but it's a bit time consuming. I like to actually send photos I've taken myself. We'll go through the app itself and all the settings on the radio. Okay, so one of the first things we're going to have to do is pair the Android phone with the ID-52. So to do this, we need to make sure that we have the Bluetooth set to on the radio. So to find that, we're going to go into the menu, into Set, and it's on the next screen. We got Bluetooth set. Go into that, into Bluetooth, and select that on, which this is already on. Next one, we have Auto Connect. Again, let's make sure that's on. Then when we start the app up and want to transfer a picture, everything will automatically pair up and transfer across for us. Just go back a screen. The next one we want to do is pairing reception. So we're going to go into that, and then that is going to count down for 2 minutes. So what we'll want to do then is on the Android device, go into settings and Bluetooth and actually look for the radio and do the pairing. So you can see it's counting down for 2 minutes. So on the phone, we're going to go into the settings, find the Bluetooth, and it's currently searching for devices. You can see it's found the Icom radio. I'm going to select that. It's pairing. We've got the code on the radio. Scroll down, confirm the codes are the same, which they are. Confirm on the radio and on the phone. So you'll now see we've got paired devices, ID-52 on the phone. On the radio, if we go to pairing connect, we should see my device, which is under my call sign for this one. So that is paired, which is pretty straightforward, but if people tend to just try and do it from the phone, they don't always move down on that screen that it asks you to confirm. So I'll just skip back on that and go back to our app screen. There we go. So what we'll do now is go into the picture mode, and to do this, if we press menu, that takes us back to the main screen. Press menu again, and if we come across to picture, select that. Now you'll now see we've got received box and the transmit box. We'll generally be working with the transmit side. You get your menus up if that's selected, and you can see there. You can go between the two just by using the left and right keys. So if we start the app up, which we've already got installed, and we just want to check one thing on here. If we go into the options, we've got transfer settings, and you can see we've got using the network or using Bluetooth. Using the network would be is if you're using the data cable between your phone or your mobile device and the radio itself. But we're going to be using Bluetooth, so we just make sure that's selected and check OK on that. Other options, you can update the font list and the usual security policy and legal notices. So you do have options for text. You can have text 1, 2 and 3, so you can get a fair bit on there. Different colours, different fonts. So if we go into the settings, as you can see, you've got the alignment, font, size, colour, whether it's bold, italics or outlined. I think I've got, if we just go back, we've got the first line of text used. I've got my name and my call sign. I think on the settings it was bottom right. So obviously I've just added enough spaces in so that the call sign is on the left and name is on the bottom right. So what we'll do now is select an image and transfer that over to the radio. So if we press and hold, we get a choice of where that image is coming from. So I'm going to select my gallery, folders, and any I want to send I tend to put in my favourites, and I'm going to use this image which has got a fair bit of detail in. Confirm that on the tick, and we've got the option to crop it if we want. So if you've got an image that's got too much information in, crop it down to what you want. That can help with the transmission times. So we're going to say crop on this. I don't know if you can quite see it, there's a little green circle going around just to say it's processing that. Back into the app. I've already put my call sign and name in. You can try and get in as much information as you want. We'll go on to image sizes in a few minutes. When we're ready to send it, click on the arrow and you can see it's given us some options. Just because we transfer it over in a maximum size doesn't mean it's going to transmit as that, but it does give us an option to change it once it's on the radio. So we'll actually transfer it over on the 640 by 480. So you can see it's automatically connected. Transferring the image over. Once that's done, it'll automatically disconnect. Disconnected, the app's it's all completed. So that is it, we've transferred an image over to the radio. So at this point we can now switch the phone off and do the rest of it with the radio just on its own. So the ID-52 can transfer a picture in both slow and fast modes. Slow transfer we use while we're actually having a contact, so that can send the message once only or repeatedly. So Should there be any blocks missing on the other station receiver on your next transmission, it will just constantly overwrite that image. So if there's any blocks missing, they'll get filled in eventually. So it can take several transmissions to transfer that information. Sometimes I've got an image I select that's like a QSL card, it's like full location, call sign. Fast mode is just that, because it's just pure data. There's no audio transmission at all, so these images will transfer a lot quicker. So we have different image sizes and different image qualities. We've got the 160 by 120, 320 by 240 and 640 by 480, with 3 different image qualities of low 25%, standard 50% and high 75%. Why they don't mention 100% I don't quite know. So anyhow, those are the different options we have. So just to give you an idea, I did some measurements earlier with the particular image that's on the screen. In fact, if you want that image up full screen, you can go between the two halves, receive and transmit, just by moving across. So if you want to bring it up full screen, if you press the center key, and you can see the image there. So I'll just come in so you can see the image. Try not to get a shadow of the camera in. So you may just see I've got the call sign in the bottom left and name in the bottom right. There's a fair bit of detail in that. So just to give you an idea, if that was set to transmit at 160 by 120 in the highest quality, it would take just 21 seconds. If it was set middle resolution of 320 by 240, and this is fast data by the way, so 320 by 240 at 50% standard image would take 55 seconds. High quality 75% would be 1 minute 12. If we change that and use the 640 by 480 at the lowest quality 25%, we'd be looking 2 minutes 47. At 50%, 3 minutes 45, and 75% would be 4 minutes 47. So what you've got to consider, if you were to use the highest image, especially on the standard and high quality, you'd be possibly going well over 3 minutes for a transmission. So if there are any timeouts anywhere within a system, whether it's your radio or another repeater or somebody else's system, they're going to lose part of that image. So I tend to send on standard quality on the 320 by 240. From what I understand, that comes out pretty well. So if you wondered how we actually set the quality of the image, we've brought it up full screen. If we press the center key again, it now gives us some more options. So you can see I've got a picture size of 320 by 240. And that's where, if you go across, you can then select the size you want. I'm going to select that one. Picture quality we have as high. I'm just going to change that down to standard. And if we just use VFO key, that takes us back to the full size image. And so, as I said, we've got the two different types of transmission. We've got the slow and the fast. So we'll look at slow mode first. so while we're having a contact. So the other options that we have, if we press the quick key, we've got picture TX, and we've got three options within this: off, single transmission and repeat transmission. So if it's off, it will not send that picture while you're having a D-star contact, if you've got a picture on the screen. If you have it set to single TX, it will just do one pass of the image. It will just send all the blocks over. When it gets to the end, that's it. If the other station's got some missing, they may ask you to send it again. But if you change it to repeat TX throughout your contact with that station, it will just keep on sending the image, and if there are any missing blocks, it will fill them in. So on this occasion, we're just going to set it to single TX. We'll just look at what other options we've got for you. TX picture set, that is choosing the one you want. TX picture block set, select. We'll go through that one in a bit. More so if you're doing the fast transmission, if somebody's missed some blocks, rather than send the whole image again. If they said, oh, it's just the lower half of the screen, we can just send the lower half. And the other option we'll come to in a bit. So as that's ready to send while we're having a voice contact. So we could go back to that screen, and then as we transmit, that picture will go out in the background. What I'll try and do is, if I zoom in to that image, if you look in the top left hand corner, you can just about see a red dot. And then as I transmit, you'll see that starting to move across. See that going across quite slowly, and then it'll pick up. It's going a bit quicker now, it's on the blue section. It's slowing down now on the darker section, purely for the amount of information in that block that it's sampling and transmitting. So it's going slow again, and it picks up. So the actual transmission time of images can vary depending on the complexity of them. If we were to stop transmitting, it will still continue just to tidy up the end of that transmission. And you can see where the red block is, just about there. It will pick up from there on the next transmission. I'll just go back into transmit again. You see it continuing. And each time you have an over, we just send a little bit more of that picture. Again, it's just stopped on that one there. So that is transmitting into like the standard mode. So to give you an idea, if you were to send that image in 320 by 240, but in like the high quality 75%, it would take 4 minutes 12 seconds to actually send it. So obviously over a couple of overs, as long as it would be approximately 4 minutes 12 to send the full image. In comparison, if we were just using fast picture transfer, so that would be no voice at the same time. It would be 1 minute 12, so it's a lot quicker there. So we can also send in fast mode, and to do that all we would do, so if you remember in this case we have got the pixel part way down the image. If we go on to quick, you wouldn't always have to do this, but we'd say back to first, and I'll just zoom in again so you can see it. You just about see a red block in the top left hand corner of the transmission image. We press quick, TX all, and that will send that image out. So it's saying it will transmit the remaining blocks. That's fine. So you can see that's transferring a lot quicker now on that image. So the radio's in transmit. Just try and adjust the screen so you can see what's happening. And as soon as that gets to the end, the radio will come out to transmit. You can just about see the TX lights at the top of the screen as well. So just coming down onto the last two rows. Last one now. And that's the image gone. So the other station would have it on the left hand side of their screen. If they did have some more blocks, they may ask you to either send the image again. If it's a lot of blocks, that's probably the easiest option. If they said, oh, we've just got some blocks missing on the last couple of rows, you could set it to, say, a third of the way down the screen and just send them. So if that did happen, what we can do, bring this image up full size, quick, go down to TX picture block select, select that. Now I'm going to have to zoom in to try and show you where the block is. So I'm coming down, I'm probably, I don't know if you can see this, probably down by the windows on the left hand side of the image, just scrolling across, just on the second window on the first floor. It's just coming onto the white building in the middle, so you could then bring it down. So we'll go from the middle of the image, so you should see the red flashing dot there. So we've scrolled down to where we want to transmit from now. What we need to do is just set that point. So you can just see that top message is has changed to TX picture now. Press the quick key. TX all. And it's going to transmit the remaining blocks. So if we select that, radio's gone into transmit, and as you can see, it's just going across and then on about a third of the image, and that'll continue to the end, or unless we were to stop it, we can actually stop the transmission if we want. But you may as well just let that go through to the end. It's pretty quick. And if the other station had got, say, a block or two on the very last row, it would just fill those in for them. So that is the fast data mode. So what I'll do is I'll call up on my hotspot, or on the gateway. If I just scroll up, select my gateway, and I'll change it onto the picture reflector, or one of them.
Link to REF055 Delta.
So reflector 55, you'll find a fair few picture transmissions on there. What you can do, if you've got external power supply for the radio, you could plug that in, and you could just leave it in receive mode while you're away from the radio, and it'll call in the images, or you'll receive the images, and you could scroll through them and see the history of them. Again, similar to when you go into your received history, just in D-Star, each image will have a transmission time, or date and time, and the station that sent it. But what I'll do is, if I wanted to go through my history of pictures on this radio, first of all, I'll just change that back to CQ. Come back down to my pictures, and we're going to press the center key. So I've probably got a few on here from when I was changing the resolution. If I turn the center dial, we can go back on those. Just zoom in for you. And you'll see in the top right corner of the image, it tells you the image number. So you can have up to 50 on the radio. You're going to see the same one here because they're all different sizes and different qualities from when I was doing some tests earlier. So you can see I like my motorcycles. So if I wanted to select this image, center key, we can see the quality. So it's the resolution I'd normally send them on. Press quick, and I'm going to say retransmit. If you look at your options there, you can zoom if you just want to look at the picture yourself. Delete it from there, or if you wanted, delete all your history. So we're just going to go back just to show you what happens if you're on the full screen, what menu options you get. So here you've got retransmit or picture out information. Again, that will just tell you the quality and resolution. So we're going to say retransmit. Go back to the main screen. See, we've now got the bike in there. What we're going to do, press quick, TX all, and that's going to transmit that picture. Probably hear it in the background on the radio. I'll just zoom in a bit for you. So you see that red dot going down quite quickly. The blocks. Again, it'll speed up and slow down depending on the complexity of the image. Again, you can use this with hotspots, gateways, repeaters. Obviously check to see that, you know, the repeater's not going to, it's not going to upset anybody if people are wanting to use it. There we go, so that's gone through. Sometimes you'll get somebody come back to you and just like say they received the picture. So once the image sent, you may get somebody answer you, and they may comment on the quality of the image or ask for it to be resent again if they want to fill in the blanks. Other times you may just get an image sent back to you. So anyhow, hopefully that's explained the picture mode for you. Activity can vary. I think another reflector where you'll get picture transmissions is reflector 35 Charlie. Reflector 55 Delta is quite a well-known one for picture transmissions. You'll get all different stations on here. Used to get activity on reflector 18 Delta, South America. That used to be like Saturday mornings. You'd get a few stations on there, but I haven't seen much activity on there lately. Again, if it's in slow mode, you can do it on any reflector. Pictures just going out in the background. So if somebody's monitoring and they happen to have the radio in picture mode, received image will just come up on that part of the screen for them. So hopefully this has explained the picture mode for you, and may encourage you to have a go at sending a few images out. So received images will come in on the lower left hand part of the screen in receive. So using the navigation pad you can move across to the left, and even though that's blank, that would start to fill up if we were receiving an image. We can go into that and look at the previous images received. So we can see the previous ones by using the up and down or using the inner dial. So you can see this one is one of 23 that we've received, and you can step through all of the received images there. Go back to the most recent one, press the center key, and that's given us the resolution, quality, station that actually sent that image, and the date and the time. From here you can also step through the other received images and see the information about them, and also with the up down key. So if we press the center key, and we can also use it in the previous screen, press the quick key, it gives us some options. So the picture information is what we've just seen. We can save it to the SD card permanently, delete it, or delete all images. The images that you can go through, received images, it is limited, so the last one in will overwrite the oldest one. And to get back to your ordinary screen, we press menu, and there we go. That's all ready to receive images. So thanks for watching, and if you'd like to like and subscribe, and you'll get notification to any other videos that I'll be doing.